I was like not happy. It's like 6 in the morning, but it was like super wicked. He's a great guy. I love
He's
Painzel.
lovely. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's amazing.
Boom. Statsbloke. Thanks for being here, dude. Appreciate it.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Dude. We've been like trying to connect for a while, but like kots and then clan battle. It's just super
Oh
awkward.
man, that like when you messaged me like, "Hey, dude, do you want to do a like a podcast?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, no, I'd really like to do that because I enjoy doing things like this. I've been invited to a few." And the problem is that when you messaged me was like literally just as we were starting to go into the beginning of King of the Sea 13 like prep.
Yeah.
And we were doing like weekly like practice sessions and meetings and stuff. And yeah, it was just like that period twice a year of King of the Sea, like a couple of weeks either side, and then the like 4 or 5 weeks of COTS is just, it's so busy.
Yeah.
So that's done now. So we're back to normal.
Yeah. Kots.
So it's good.
I was on record. I said Vor's gonna run through the competition. I was like, done. It's Vor's video game. We're just allowed to play in it. Look untouchable. And just as it goes, they made me look as stupid as possible.
Well, no, I think C did reasonably well this time. I think being the small server, if you like the server with the smallest player pools to pull from.
Mm.
I think it's pretty remarkable actually that they can have teams come out of the APAC server that are as are competitive and can deal with the teams that come from the most popular servers where there's way more players to actually come to the top and to form competitive teams. And so if you're from one of those, and it's the same in any sport, if you come from a small region or a small country, it's always more difficult to put teams together because you've got less players to choose from.
Yeah.
So actually, I think they did really well. But EU just kicked ass, which is amazing.
Which must make you happy as, right? An all EU final.
But to be honest, because of my when I started streaming, I deliberately chose a slot which allowed me to have an EU and NA audience.
Yeah.
And so actually more than half between EU and NA, more than half of my viewers are actually NA.
Oh, really?
So yeah, so I actually, although I pretend to cheer for EU, I'm not really. I'm very much. I don't really care. I'm quite objective.
Yeah.
And so I'm just happy that there's a competition and that everyone's enjoying it. But yeah, it was nice to see my home server to win. That was great, and we got some really good matches.
Yeah.
But,
It's a bit
glad it's over.
It's a bit like when I watch football with my girlfriend. I'm not a football person, by the way. And she's always cheering for her team, and that's fantastic. She looks and goes, "Why are you excited? This is, we're playing so great." I was like, "Yeah, but I just really want everyone to have a great time." And, who are you supporting? I'm supporting the umpires and the game and the match referees.
The umpires.
Play as middle of the road as
support
possible.
The ball.
The ball, yeah.
Yeah, I've never been into football. I think it's just because of like where I went. So I went to a school that didn't do football. We played football like in break times and stuff, but we didn't play football in school time.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of brought up playing rugby and cricket, and then when I went to university, I had a lot of friends who really liked rugby, and so I ended up watching a lot of rugby. And so I've never really gotten into football. I've been to see a few games with friends who do like football, and I know the experience of being at a game is pretty cool, but the game has never really grabbed me. Unlike rugby, which I used to really like. I haven't watched it for years because I haven't had a television for years. But
wait, what?
But no, rugby's cool. I haven't
Step
had a
back,
TV.
Step back. Hang on. Hold up.
Go on.
Hold up.
So
you haven't had it.
No. So right. So there's a few things I need to explain. So in the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, in order to have a television, you have to, like a lot of things in this country, have a license. So basically, it's a tax that means that you pay the tax, and then it means you can have a TV, and you can watch live broadcast content, and your license fee goes towards paying for all the BBC services, TV, radio, world service, news writing, like everything. And but you're restricted. If you don't have a TV license, you're not allowed to watch any live broadcast anything. You're also not allowed now, because they've changed the law recently, you're also not allowed to watch on-demand content produced by the BBC. So I don't have a TV license because I don't have a TV. And so I can't, for example, go onto the BBC website and watch BBC programming on the BBC website because I don't have a license. I can go onto other on-demand websites currently, as long as they don't change the bloody law. So I can watch Amazon, Netflix, all that kind of stuff, Twitch, which is an interesting one from a political point of view because it's technically TV, kind of, maybe, if you squint and look at it funny. So that's interesting. I actually have a vague plan to go and talk to my my MP, my member of parliament, my local political representative, because I want to make sure that that's not going to happen. Because if we need a TV license to watch internet content, that's an internet tax, and I'm totally against that. Anyway, so I wasn't really. I just realized, like, a few years ago, like I looked at my. I remember distinctly looking at my TV sitting in the corner, thinking, "You are costing me £126 a year, and I haven't turned you on for 2 years."
So much?
I instantly unplugged it and put it in a cupboard. I think it's £126 a year, which isn't a fortune, but when you're not using it, it's quite expensive. So I just like, right, okay, that's it. I'm done with TV. I only watch YouTube and Twitch and Amazon and all these kind of things. So that's it. And I haven't had a TV since. And I don't miss it at all.
Yeah. No ads.
Just don't miss it.
No ads.
No.
Ads are
Well,
stupid.
it's more that you can just watch what you want when you want. I just don't see the point in sitting down to watch. Let's just see what's on. Like, that concept in the age of the internet just makes no sense.
Yeah. Right, that blows my... £126 a month, so if I remember correctly...
No, a year.
A year.
Sorry, if I said a month, I didn't mean... Yeah, a year. It's not that expensive, but if you're not using it, it's senseless. It's just throwing money in the bin. So
for our Australian viewers, that's about $240 Australian.
Yeah.
That is just absurd. A TV license. I've been talking to people from the UK for over 10 years, and this is the first time I've heard about a TV license.
So, yeah, and it's just one of those things where people will just, I think it's going to become more and more, and the reason I'm worried is because it's becoming more and more common for people to do what I've done and say, well, I'm not really watching it because I just watch Netflix.
Yeah.
And they'll get rid of their TV license. And so as the BBC loses revenue, because they're going to lose people who are paying the license fee, I've got this funny feeling that they'll start lobbying the government instead of going the right way, which is add advertising to the BBC. That's the easy solution. They'll go the route of they'll go to Parliament and they'll say, right, well, we need you to tax the internet, please, because everyone's watching on-demand content now, and can you please get help? We need money, and so it just needs to be privatized. It just do it. It's an old institution that has no place in the modern world. It was amazing in the era of radio and TV. We're now no longer in the era of radio and TV, and it's just got to go. So I think I was ahead of the curve, but I think that's going to become the common position in this country. Just, you don't have a TV.
Yeah, the new norm. Isn't it interesting how I've got a whole line of questioning for World of Warships, but that's boring. So isn't it really interesting?
Whatever you want, I'm happy. You just happen to have hit on one of my bugbears.
So I'll be real. I love it when guests want to go on tangents, because the less I talk, the better. Because they're not here to listen to me, right? They can come onto my Twitch stream. I stream 3 times a week on Twitch. Porkey23 at Twitch TV. I don't know. I'm an ape. They came to listen to Statsbloke talk, not me. They won't listen to me. They come watch me live. So tangents are fantastic.
How do we even get onto the TV licensing? Hang on.
A great thing, isn't it?
Nope, I have no idea.
No.
Yeah. So So I just generally I watch a lot of Twitch. So when I'm sitting here, like if I'm not streaming, but if I'm like I don't know, like preparing for a stream, I'm working. So currently this last week I've been working on a lot of stuff to do with stream development and trying to get off of Streamlabs and things like that. And so while I'm sitting here doing all this stuff, whenever I'm doing things like that, I'll always have a Twitch stream open in the background. Not necessarily gaming. I watch a lot of IRL kind of streams as well. Like just now, I was watching a guy called Hitch, who is a professional Twitch hitchhiker. He's currently actually cycling because of COVID, but he's cycling from Portugal all the way around the bottom of Spain and up to Barcelona, and stuff like that. I just love it. It's so much better content than sitting down and watching whatever it is that the television companies want to show you. And it's interactive and it's interesting and it's educational, and it's relaxing. I mean, like, been talking about Painsall, right? He did a fantastic stream on Thursday last week, where he built a set of IKEA drawers.
I saw him do that. That was crazy.
Yeah, it's great. And like things like that. And I've done streams like that where like I've defrosted my freezer on stream. And it's you just think, what? But then you watch it, and then because I didn't really understand why people were raving about that freezer stream that I did, and then I watched Painsall's building a set of drawers stream, and I'm like, oh, actually, this is really cool.
Yeah,
because it's funny. It's kind of because in those kind of situations, people are out of their comfort zone a little bit, and you're seeing them in a different situation, and it's fascinating. I couldn't take my eyes off it. And, you know, and I know him really well, so it's probably maybe even more fascinating for me because I talk to him every day.
Yeah.
And so that kind of stuff is just fantastic. I love things like maker streams and art streams and wildlife streams. Like when someone's just pointed a camera at a bird bath or like a feeding table or an owl box. Or their sheep or something. It's just fascinating. They'll put some nice music on in the background, and you can just sit and chill and have it on a side screen. And it's just so much better than having whatever on the TV.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love it.
There's a guy that streams on Twitch. And he's called himself Uncle Iroh. Have you watched Avatar: The Last Airbender?
No, I haven't seen
it. There's this guy. Yeah. I'll try and give you the TLDR. Basically, there's an older guy, loves tea, super chill, great quotes, very iconic. So he's dedicated his whole stream to just playing this montage of Iroh quotes to him to the character in a hot tub. And that's all. That's his whole stream. That's nice. Fantastic. Yeah, it's fantastic.
But the thing about Twitch, in particular, is that there's something for everyone, right? So some people will say, "Oh, well, you know, I don't like that." Like, well, that's fine. don't watch it.
Yeah.
You know, and I think a lot of streamers have this, where, especially if you're a bit of a larger channel, you have people come in and like, "Dude, I don't like this. What are you doing?" Like, well, go away. Like, what? Why are you here? There's 50, 100, 200 people streaming the same game. Surely one of those other people is doing it in a way that is what you want.
Yeah.
Because obviously what I'm doing is not what you want. So I get people coming in, like, I'm really, okay, it's probably not coming across right now, but you will know if you've watched me at all, is most of the time I'm pretty chilled out. It's pretty slow paced. It's pretty relaxed. I'm just chatting and doing whatever I'm doing. And I get people coming in like, go, go, go. Why'd you just press battle? Like, whoa. Just relax, dude.
Yeah.
Just calm down. And like they're looking for something that's not what I'm doing. But the beauty of Twitch is that there is someone doing that. You can guarantee that there is someone playing World of Warships, for example, who is going quickly and like swearing all the time and being aggressive and and if you like that, it's out there. If you like different stuff, it's all out there. And that's the beauty of Twitch, is that there's just something for everyone.
Yep.
So it's a great platform.
It's a fantastic platform. Yeah. Speaking of Streamlabs, I moved off Streamlabs like I want to say 6 months ago. I just went to like
Mhm.
vanilla OBS, and it's just been glorious, man.
Oh, so I'm not talking about moving off Streamlabs OBS. I'm talking about moving off Streamlabs as an alerting service.
Really?
So I've always used OBS Studio because the problem with slobs has always been, apart from all the trademark theft stuff that's come out recently, um, the problem with slobs is that although the core of slobs is OBS, it's not the most recent OBS. And so the problem is that when OBS gets feature updates, um, you don't get them immediately if you're using Streamlabs wrapped version of OBS. You have to wait like 6 months.
Ugh.
And OBS are constantly adding new features, and so there's just no reason to go with slobs because all of the things that Streamlabs have in their version of OBS, which they stole apparently now, um, the all the add-ons and stuff that you can get for it in terms of the information panels and whatever, you don't need that because you can dock those things into OBS Studio anyway.
Hmm.
So, so I just never saw a reason. I did a lot of research when I started streaming and just found a bunch of creators who were saying, "Yeah, don't bother with slobs. There's no point. Just go straight to OBS Studio." And I'm so glad that I did because it's a much more agnostic piece of software because it's not aligned to any one particular company.
Yeah.
Because it's freeware, and so yeah, I'm so glad I did that. But the one thing that I did do, which most people do, is I put all my alerts, like follows and subs and bits and so on, went into Streamlabs, and so I'm currently in the process of extracting my alerts. But it takes a while because you want to have them looking good, sounding good, and it took me a while to build up the ones that I've got right now. I didn't realize how many different alerts I had until you suddenly have to recreate them somewhere else. So I'm currently going through trying to do that.
Yeah. It's always interesting, like you see, streamers like yourself who, they're pretty big on Twitch, and you can always tell when someone's put a lot of work into their stream because, they've
Mm-hmm.
got the fancy alert follows, they've got all of that, instead of just like a blank border like you'll see here later on when you watch this. They've got this nice little panel around it, and maybe they've got like a carousel, the last recent event. Versus when I started streaming, it was, yeah, I'm just gonna use the basic default alerts that I've been given. I went back and watched an old VOD of mine the other day, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Honestly, there's nothing wrong with that. I think the way that you have your stream set up, it's an opportunity to make it your own. It's an opportunity to do something a bit different. But I think a lot of streamers make the mistake of feeling like they have to do something really different, feeling like they have to fill the screen with stuff. Like, you don't have to do that. The key thing with making your stream appealing, getting people not to come to your stream, because that's different. That's to do with your own branding and advertising and getting your name out there. That's not the reason that people come to your channel. The reason people come to your channel is because of that branding. But when they get there, you've got a few seconds to hook them. You've got a few seconds to make them go, "Oh, this guy's kind of interesting. I'll sit and watch." And personally, and this isn't the same for everyone, but personally, when I go into a stream and there's alerts going off and there's a color border and and it's all like colors and lights and sounds and that for me, that's an immediate close the page. For other people, that might be appealing, and it's an opportunity to really put your personality stamp onto your stream and attract the audience that you want, right? So you will end up with the audience that you attract. And when I set up my stream, because I started on YouTube, when I moved over to Twitch as my main platform, I consciously made a decision right, I want to attract an audience that is a bit like me. I want to attract people who are kind of calm, maybe people who like to think about things, people who are quite rational. And so I deliberately tried to set up the stream in such a way that it attracts me, essentially.
Yeah.
So, and funnily enough, I've ended up with an audience and a community who I absolutely adore, who are people I'd want to hang around with in real life.
Yeah.
And it's, you go to other streams. I'm not going to name any particular streams, but if you go to another stream and you think about the way the streamer is, their personality, the way they game, the way they talk, the language they use, and then you look at the way their stream is set up. If those two things are in sync, it's no surprise then that the audience is a reflection of that setup.
Yeah.
And so if you've got a streamer who's really manic and their stream is really noisy, it's no surprise that their audience are going to be manic and noisy and brash and kind of more active.
Yeah.
And I find that fascinating. It's a bit like dogs looking like their owners.
Yeah,
it's the same kind of thing,
Yeah. Understanding the psychology of it is a really interesting thing. Yeah, because I've seen streamers change, like, they change to what their audience wants them to be. Where, yeah, it's you see it all the time, and it's really
that's
sad.
a mistake. I think that's a mistake, because I mean, you have to have. I've had this conversation with quite a few, people who want to start streaming. I think it's quite natural and it's a good idea to go and look at established streams and think, okay, what is this person doing that I like? What is this person doing that I don't like? Why is it that they've become successful? And can I borrow any of those ideas? And I've had this conversation with a few people who want to get into streaming or have started streaming and maybe you can't quite get traction. And they lost my thread. This happens a lot if you're talking to me. I'll lose my thread. They think that they have to copy things that they're seeing, and they end up in a place where they end up hating streaming because they're trying to be something that they're not. They're not being genuine, and you can't really keep that up for 6-8 hours. The great example I like to point to is Doc, who was banned from Twitch but's now on YouTube, and is being, as far as I know, very successful on YouTube.
Dr. Disrespect for those who aren't.
Dr. Disrespect. So he, FPS gamer, amazing entertainer, and I think he's the epitome of getting it right, because what he does, he's playing this character, because of course that's not him. He's not actually like that, but he kind of is. So he's dressing. He's got the wig. He's got the like gear on, and he's playing a character, but the character's kind of based on him.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to. It's not like he's character acting really hard. It's not like he's like an actor playing a really difficult part. He's playing a character which is very, very similar to him.
Yeah.
And occasionally, as you're watching him, you'll see the mask drop a little bit, and he's being a bit more genuine, and then the mask comes back up again as he's playing around. And I think that's where you want to get to, because when you're streaming, it's fine to not be completely yourself, but you need to ground it in your own personality. Otherwise, you just can't keep it up. It will be tiring, impossible even.
Yeah.
And people will see through that. If you're trying to be something that you're not, people will just see through it. And it changes from day to day as well. If you're streaming, some days, like for example, Saturday, I was like super bubbly and happy and full of energy. And then for whatever reason, yesterday when I pressed, start streaming, I was feeling a little bit tired. And you've just got to kind of just accept the fact that your audience are okay with that. Your regular audience. They just accept the fact that you're a person and you, some days you're going to have more energy than others.
Yeah.
And I think you've just got to be honest. And I think a lot of the relationship that you build up with your audience is you've got to share a bit about yourself. You've got to say, hey, today I'm not feeling very well, or hey, today I had I went for a drive and it was cool and this happened, and you need to share a little bit of your experiences, because that's what people come to hear about. They don't just come to watch you play a game. They come to have an interactive experience with you, and And I think particularly in the last couple of years with COVID and people being stuck at home a lot more, a lot of people, including me, have turned to Twitch essentially for company
Yeah.
because you're in lockdown. You're not talking to many people because you're not going out, and it's just really nice to have some people both in the chat that you become friends with, and then also the streamer directly that you can hang out with, and it's just a really nice virtual way to just hang out with people.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important.
Just touching on your point about Doc, Harris Heller on who puts YouTube videos on Stream Doctor air quotes. He put it brilliantly. He said, when you're streaming, you got to turn yourself up to 11. Like just be you, but a lot of you.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
then you're absolutely right. You're playing who you are intrinsically, but a lot of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've got to remember if it's true. That's what I was about to say before I got sidetracked. So, I've talked to people where they're like, "Oh, I'm just not like my content's just not. I can't." They're being really kind of down about the fact that they can't get an audience and they're not doing very well and they're looking for tips. And then so I go and watch the content. I'm like, okay, let me watch one of your VODs. And they're literally just sitting there silent, like completely silent. Like I'm skipping through the VOD, like every 10 minutes, just clicking. And I managed to get through an entire 6-hour stream without hearing them open their mouth once. And like, you have to be yourself, but maybe there are some people who just aren't cut out to be an entertainer.
Yeah.
That's just it. You can't be an entertainer and just sit there going click, 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 click. It's just not going to work. And so, yeah, you do have to sometimes I'll catch myself, I'll be sitting there. I'm like, maybe I'm feeling a bit tired. I'm trying to play the game. Maybe the game's not going very well. And I'll just this little alarm goes off in my head. You haven't said anything for 20 seconds. You need to say something now.
Yeah.
But fortunately, one of the bonuses of being a larger channel is that your chat is constantly moving. And this is something that's really, really hard when you first start out, is because you look at the chat box and the last message was sent 10 minutes ago.
Yep.
And that is really hard to deal with because you've got to just keep talking in a non-interactive way.
Yeah.
And that's super, super hard to do and keep doing it.
Yeah.
But it even happens when you've got a busy channel. Sometimes your energy is a bit down, which means chat's energy is a bit down. The game's energy maybe is a bit negative, and the whole thing just slows down. You've just got to keep talking.
Yeah.
And if you're an introvert, it can be a little bit difficult.
Yeah, it's something I've struggled with and still struggle with. If I'm gaming by myself, I can not say a single word for 4 hours and I'm chill. And sometimes when I'm playing games and maybe it's getting a bit sweatier, maybe it's really tense, I'll just completely shut up. I'm 100% zoned in, and I'm like, wait, I haven't said anything for a minute. Shit. That's why I've started playing with mates. Every stream now, I've got someone with me.
Yeah. That does help. And certainly, So what I've realized recently is that, in my opinion, my content is, when I'm up energy, my content is much better when I'm on my own, because I can I'm quite happy just to talk to people in chat. I'm talking about what I'm doing. I'm talking. And I find that when I'm joined by people in voice, when I have that kind of energy, I find it frustrating because you can't keep talking to chat with them trying to have a conversation with each other and with you in the background. I hate that when streamers do that. And so I'll be like, no, I'm not doing divs today. I'm just going to do my own thing. But then when I'm feeling a little bit more low energy, a little bit more tired maybe, then I love having people in voice, because that conversation really helps. You've got to do 1/3 of the talking if there's two other people. And that's really, really nice to have as an option. And there's a bunch of us that play together in my little streaming group, and it's really nice to have that option of just getting some friends in voice, and it's a bit of variety as well. So it's I think it's good to change things up. If you do the same thing, stream in, stream out, yeah, it's going to get a little bit boring for people. So you need to throw something a bit different in there occasionally, play a different game, or for your regulars, right? So when I play a different game, obviously the viewer numbers go down because all the people who are just there for World of Warships will disappear.
Mm-hmm.
But your regulars will really appreciate you if you switch it up a little bit. Let them see you play something different. Let them see you out of your comfort zone. Let them see you build a chest of drawers, whatever it happens to be. Because you've got to remember, you're like you need to tell yourself, I'm an entertainer. I need to entertain.
Yeah. I think another thing that a lot of streamers fall into the trap of, and I'm absolutely guilty of this, is I think they worry too much about the actual gameplay. I think gameplay is so little, like in the hierarchy of importance. I think the actual level of your gameplay is so unimportant. It's how entertaining you are.
Absolutely, and I think that's another common mistake. I think people, I think there are two kinds of things. I think there are gameplay kind of streams, and there are personality kind of streams, and there are streams that do both. And so I can think of really popular streamers. I'm not going to name anyone, but I can think of really, really popular streamers who are just like so good at their game, like really, really like top world class gamers who have zero personality whatsoever, but they're really popular because people like watching them be the best at what they do. They like watching them just like knock it out of the park in terms of the skill. And then on the other end of the scale, you've got people who are terrible gamers. And most of the time, I kind of class myself in that kind of category. I'm not a particularly naturally talented gamer, but who are quite engaging and quite entertaining and have an attractive personality, whatever that personality type happens to be. And then there are streamers who do both. And I think Doc, for example, is a really good example of having both sides of that coin. And if you have that magical combination, then you can only be successful.
Yeah.
But it's totally possible to be one of those people who's just not a particularly good gamer, but you have fun doing it and you attract an audience who just like to hang out with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's, as I said before, there's something on Twitch for everyone, and there's a niche for almost everyone. I think in terms of being a streamer.
Almost. Yeah. There might be some limitations. I could never do a hot tub stream. Before I get comments, no, it's never happening. Never.
Yeah, but again, there's a niche for it. Okay, you might not end up with a very big audience with some things like if you decide to become, like the world's greatest, I don't know, the world's great. I'm looking around my room now trying to think of something, but the world's greatest parrot statue carver. Like, you're gonna get a really small audience, but you might end up with a really loyal audience. And if you're just doing it as a hobby, just for fun, just do it. Just do it. Turning that then into something that you can run as an income and a business is obviously a very different prospect. But
might be tough.
Just streaming for fun, just do it. Just try it. If you've ever fancied streaming, just do it. It's great fun.
Do you know what I've thought about doing? So I'm studying a photography course at the moment. I've thought about me streaming me study.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think learning is great. I stumbled across a stream a few weeks ago where there was this young lady who she's about 20, 21, 22, and she'd just graduated from a comp sci degree, and she'd just started as a junior programmer at an IT firm. And so she was streaming basically her just brushing up her programming skills. And so she was like taking challenges from chat, and there was like this online like interactive course thing that she was doing, and she'd got permission from them that she could stream it. And it was really interesting to watch her like going through all these programming problems in various different programming languages. And of course, her chat is also full of programmers.
Yeah.
And so they're kind of working through it together and talking about solutions. It was really, really interesting. And so, if you've got a hobby, as long as you're not the only person in the world that does it, there's an instant audience there potentially.
Yeah. Everyone. It's like podcasting, right? I tell everyone you should start a podcast. You should start a podcast. But what about Porky? I don't know what to podcast about. It doesn't matter. Just find another person to talk to. I'm sure you have a friend. If you don't have a friend, get your mum or your dad. Whack a camera in front of their foreheads and start talking.
But genuinely, I think those kind of conversations. I listen. I'm an avid podcast listener, so when I'm walking the dog. So after every stream, like my evening is I stream, which is like my work daytime, and then after that I usually have a little snack before I go out, and then I'll go and walk the dog for a while. It's not quite so long now that she's a bit older, but it used to be like 2 hours. And then I come back and then like have a small meal and watch something. But while I'm walking the dog, I'm listening to usually an audiobook or a podcast. And so I get through like 4 or 5 podcasts a week, and about all sorts of things. And like Twitch, there's a podcast about everything. For everything from Joe Rogan, who's talking about literally everything.
Literally everything.
Literally everything. I love Joe Rogan. Through to very specific things. Like I listened to a podcast about dreaming. I listen to a lot of stuff about philosophy, religion, which I study, and science and maths and politics, all sorts of things. Just even if you're not going to create a podcast, just go and find some podcasts. Go on to Google Podcasts and just search and see what's out there. If you've got any downtime in your life where you're traveling or like driving, walking, just sitting, whatever, don't forget that there's an audio world out there. It's not just video, because there's some really cool stuff on podcasts.
Yeah. For a long time, Joe Rogan's podcast was the only thing that would help with my insomnia.
Interesting.
I could just lay there all night, look at the ceiling, count the imperfections in the ceiling, put on a Joe Rogan episode. 15 minutes later, sleeping.
I love the format, like you said at the beginning. I love the format where he just lets people talk.
Yeah,
he'll just. Because obviously when he's inviting people, because I watch a lot of his stuff when he's inviting on scientists or like philosophers, or the best ones, science philosophers, and so he's got people like Neil deGrasse Tyson and Lawrence Krauss and people like that on there, and they're obviously passionate people who have a topic that they love talking about because that's literally their profession.
Yeah.
And he knows that, and so he just kind of like he'll just throw a little question in. And then just sit back and watch them go, like winding up a little toy and letting it go.
Yeah.
And occasionally he'll sort of like pick the toy up and bring it back on the table and then let it go again.
Yeah.
I love that format because then people talk about what they want to talk about. And I think when you have interviews where it's just like the interviewer has a list of questions and they will not go, like it makes it so artificial and stilted, and you can tell that the person who's being interviewed is just kind of getting frustrated with not being able to talk about what they want to talk about.
Yeah, I started like that though. I was like, these are my questions. I'm gonna stick to my questions. And then 2 podcasts later, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and so I run a podcast with Painter and Kilburn as well, and very rarely, like we don't do it very regularly, but we do occasionally, and we started like that as well. We're like, we've got a plan, and I took like 5 hours making this like sheet of questions and blah, and it was really formulaic, and now we're just like, yeah, a couple of notes, go, let's just do it. And because we're more relaxed, the whole thing comes across as being more relaxed, and people don't really care if you go off topic and you ramble a little bit and there's ums and ahs, and it just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
People don't tune into a podcast to hear a news announcer. They tune into a podcast to hear people having a conversation.
This week on Porky's podcast, Britain forces their population to have a license to watch the television.
Yeah.
They realise it's like 2021, right?
I do.
Like, hello?
Yeah, I do. I'm not sure certain politicians do,
It's
but
crazy. So let's talk some Modern Warships because
do
I'm
it.
I'm I'm already sensing the angry comments. You spoke for 40 minutes and you didn't say a single word of Warships. Unsub, unfollow. So these last COTS, you got to work with some pretty fantastic people. What's it like
Yeah,
behind the scenes working with Sea Raptor, Malta, Seraphis?
Seraphis. Yeah, we just call
Seraphis?
him Sarah. We
Mr.
just call him Sarah.
Conway.
So I so it's they're amazing. They're amazing people. They are absolutely amazing people. It's amazing to work with them. They are, even the ones who aren't actually professionals are professionals. I'm talking about like the adjudicators and organizers who work in the background at King of the Sea. They all behave like professionals. Is it complete harmony and dancing around in like with rose petals falling from the sky? No, it's not like that. There are artistic differences, there are discussions, but it's all done very professionally, and so it's great to work with them. Like things went pretty smoothly. It never runs completely smoothly, but it's great fun. I love working with Conway. I've known Conway for quite a few years now, and he has a very not dark sense of humor, but he's got a very kind of sarcastic sense of humor, which is very
Mm.
close to my heart. I love sarcastic humor, and he has a very kind of tongue in cheek way of doing things. He's and the thing I love about Conway is he, unlike me, he doesn't really ever show, at least, that he's stressed out about things.
Mhm.
Like if something's starting to go a little bit wrong, especially during a live broadcast, he just kind of holds it together. He's a nice guy to have around in those kind of situations because he's just like, okay, let's just do this.
Yeah.
And inside, I don't know, he may be panicking, but he doesn't show it. And so it's really nice to have someone who's not running around with their hair on fire, who's just standing in the middle going, "Hey, can we just do this?"
Yeah. Like
So
a duck in
that's quite
water.
nice.
Like a duck in water.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's quite nice. And he is the ninja guru of OBS. Like seriously, he has taught me so many things about OBS over the last few Kings of the Sea. Just how to better organize your scenes and use filters and embedded scenes and that kind of stuff. And so he makes, I don't know whether people realize, but the pack that goes out to all of the streamers so that all the King of the Sea streams look the same. He doesn't make all the art content, but he's the one that puts that pack together.
Yeah.
Um,
Almost all
and he's very good.
the King of the Seas broadcasts. Almost all. One of the
Yes, so not the official, and not like the Russian language stream, or the North America stream, but all of the individual streamers who stream World Warships, who stream King of the Sea, they're using essentially Conway's pack.
yeah.
So he spent a lot of time putting that together, and he's gotten very good at it. So it's great to work with him. Sarah is obviously quite new to the team, but he's well known in the community because he used to be an active member of the community. He was involved in King of the Sea before it was taken over by Wargaming directly in EU. But he's pretty new to Wargaming, and so he's kind of like got a foot on each side at the moment. He's kind of got one foot in the community and one foot in the company, which as a community manager is honestly what you need.
Yeah.
You need someone who can understand both points of view. And then the other casters, I don't know Malta so well. We did cast the EU finals together. He's a lot younger than me. I could literally be his dad.
Yeah, he's about my age. Actually, we might be the same age.
I think he's just turned 20-ish, something like that.
Oh, I'm turning 21 at the time of this recording. 4 days.
About the same age.
4 days, yeah.
So he's got a very different energy. He's got a very young, kind of quite enthusiastic energy. But he's a lovely guy and so knowledgeable as well about the game because of course he was playing actually in the King of the Sea NA finals.
He's a
and in the internationals, and he's an amazing player. And it was a a privilege to do the finals with him.
Mm.
And then C Raptor for the international finals. I keep telling him, you could literally. I don't actually call anyone dude. I don't. Why when I talk in the like when I'm reporting conversations, I call people dude, but I never actually call people dude. Anyway, so I said to him like, you could, if you wanted to, become a professional sportscaster. He's just got that patter. He's got that
Yeah, without being
way
disrespectful,
of.
he's got a voice for it.
He totally does, and he's just got that beautiful sportscaster, natural something. It's very hard to describe what it is, but he's whatever it is, he's got it.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's a pleasure working with him as well because he just makes the whole thing sound really pro.
Yeah.
And I think that adds a lot of weight to the broadcast. And then in terms of like analysis, we also had Painzor doing some of the analysis work as well. And I've done some co-casting with Painzor in the past as well.
Guy. I love Painzor.
He's just lovely, and the thing about Painzor is like, okay, he's been on camera a lot during this King of the Sea doing the analysis and whatever, and he's very good at doing that. But what people don't realize, I think, is that behind the scenes, both within King of the Sea and also within the CC program, Painzor is just constantly doing things. He really cares about the game and the community in a way that is just beyond me. I don't know where he gets this energy from to do that. I think I would have given up a long time ago if I tried. But he's just constantly talking to people. He's constantly engaging with wargaming. He's like constantly providing feedback, like writing documents about things, like what he thinks and what should be done.
Spreadsheets, man.
He's really, really, really I don't know, like just conscientiously involved in the community, and he really cares. And I'm not sure that really comes across in his content, but he really does. And so consequently, he's become quite quickly. Actually, he's become really well known in the community and is valued both by wargaming and also then by a lot of the competitive community, particularly. Because he, again, like Sarah, he has that ability to talk to both sides of the argument and talk both languages.
Yeah.
And so having him on board for the King of the Sea casting has been amazing as well, because he's able to do that. He's able to say like, hey, wargaming, like from the player point of view or from the spectator point of view, this is an issue. But he also understands the concerns and the challenges that wargaming have.
Yeah.
So he, it's not so much that he will side with wargaming. It's not that. It's that he understands which fights are worth picking.
Yeah.
He understands, okay, wargaming won't ever budge on this issue, but they might on this one. And so we're going to pick on this one and we're going to push that.
Yeah.
So he's a great advocate for the community, and he's a great champion for the community. And so it was great to have him around.
It's really interesting that you and Painzor are so close, considering you're so polar opposite. When I was interviewing Painzor, and this is not a criticism, Painzor, if you're watching, I was like looking for like ins in the conversation, like, let me talk. Painzor, let's move on. It's just constant energy. It's mellow, relaxed.
When Painzor gets onto a topic that he's passionate about, he could talk for a long time. And all of it is well considered. All of it makes sense. He's got an ability to, a lot of people don't have, to get passionate about something and get aggressive about a topic, but without losing the coherence of what he's saying.
Yeah.
He can hold an argument thread. He's very intelligent. He can hold an argument thread for a long time. Even if he's getting a bit frustrated, which is quite a rare skill, I think.
Yeah.
A lot of people just get really angry, and then it ends up just being like two people just doing, just at loggerheads. But But no, he's a good egg.
He's a great guy. Yeah, it's I love Painzor, dude, and Malta, man. Do you know I was so close to getting Malta on the podcast? Dude, I would have had him if he had not said no.
Oh, that's a shame.
Nah, he's just super
No,
busy. He's super busy, so
he's
I don't.
he is.
He's touching on one of the what we talked about earlier. He's one of those guys that is so entertaining. I could honestly just listen to him talk, but yet he's such a great gamer, such a fantastic player of this video game.
Yeah, there's quite a few of them around. So I remember watching. It was really funny. I was in King of the Sea 12. I did some casting with Malta because we did the finals, and it was really funny. I was listening to like us talking. I was watching back one of the VODs, just to see how it came across, and I was listening to us talking. And of course, because of the way I am, he was being very. He was trying to match my energy, I think, and so he was just like being a bit more restrained than he is normally, and not like going like super hyper. And then I listened to him casting with King of the Sea NA with Gaishu.
Oh my gosh, that's
Like,
fantastic.
completely different guy, you know. Um, and they're just like getting super excited about everything,
Yeah,
and and super relaxed, and it was really interesting to see him sort of change casting style between the official cast and his own cast.
yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of entertaining.
Watching Malta and Gaishu, honestly, Malta and Gaishu, I don't think you can name a more iconic duo. Maybe Lord Zath and Sea Raptor, but
They're very entertaining as
yeah.
well. Yeah.
But anyway,
I think a
dude.
lot of that comes from a lot of that with Sea Raptor and with Zath, who's also a really lovely guy. I think a lot of that is that they've been friends for a long time,
Yeah,
and they've been casting together for a long time. So they're probably
forever.
not probably they are the longest standing casting duo in World of Warships for sure.
Yeah,
And so they just know each other and they know what they're going to say. They just understand, and so they make a really good, entertaining cast.
yeah. Do you know it's really interesting. We were talking earlier about Sea Raptor's radio voice. the for the Asia finals, we're all being serious, and then just out of the blue, I could just hear Sea Raptor's voice. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, World of Warshippers of all ages, welcome to the SCA finals. And I'm just
It's a
like,
pretty good impression.
I just gotta say it. I just gotta do it. Then
It's a pretty good impression.
my co-caster Sherpington was just like, "What are you doing? What are you? Stop that!"
An homage. You got to say it's an
Yeah,
homage.
homage.
Yes.
World of Warshippers
No.
of all ages. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
I got to
He's
get him
great.
on the podcast one day.
Oh no, you should do definitely. Maybe you should do like try and get Sea Raptor and Zathon together. I think that'd be entertaining. But yeah, the thing with those two is that they are they're working professionals. Streaming isn't their job; they just do it as a hobby. They both have day jobs, 9 to 5 jobs, and so they're when they get involved in King of the Sea, they're like super pushed for time because they both have families and full-time jobs.
Yeah,
And so it's a bit tricky for them to get involved in things because they have very limited time.
it's crazy. Like, I think there's so many opportunities out there. I think it's really sad that World of Warships, I don't feel, will ever be an actual competitive esport where the teams from COTS and the casters can ever make an actual. They can make money out of it, but they can't make money. Do you know what I mean? Like they couldn't live off of their income from streaming ships or
I
playing.
don't, yeah, I don't think in terms of obviously there are people who do make their money off streaming World of Warships, but I do, but in terms of being a professional sports person for World of Warships,
Yeah.
no, I don't think the game just doesn't have the reach. The audience isn't there.
Yeah, it'll never be Dota.
You
It'll never be
No, no, exactly.
Apex, anything like that.
Um, it possibly could have been if it was designed like that from the beginning,
Yeah.
but it just hasn't been. And Wargaming have said themselves, at least Leicester in St. Petersburg, have said that that's just not their focus. Their focus is not competitive. I think I get the impression that some of the guys in the community team would like it to be have more focus on competitive, which is how they ended up getting more involved. I'm trying not to say purchase because that's not what happened. And the situation around Wargaming getting more involved in EU King of the Sea is not as straightforward as they bought it. It's a lot more complicated than that. But
Yeah.
but the fact that they've taken control, the fact that they now have a budget for King of the Sea in terms of a prize pool, in terms of getting like flying casters to Prague and things like that, they obviously have a reasonable budget for it. And the fact that they've managed to do that means that probably someone in Prague has persuaded someone in St. Petersburg that it's worth investing in. And I think the fact that this most recent King of the Sea 13 was pretty successful, and King of the Sea 12 was quite successful, means that money will still continue to be passed towards it. And also the fact that I know a lot of people complained about it, and I undoubtedly, I haven't actually watched your interview with Painswell yet, but did he talk about cameras?
Oh, yeah.
I bet he did.
Yeah.
It's a favorite topic, and it's a favorite topic of mine as well. But because we both have very similar opinions about the whole camera thing, but which included me shouting at a room full of Russians and swearing at them quite a lot. But the fact that St. Petersburg, the Leicester studio, the fact that they put, like, I don't know how many people it was exactly, but more than a dozen people on a weekend and for several weeks beforehand were perfecting the art of, or trying to perfect the art of using lots of cameras to make the cast more interesting, more dynamic, particularly as people who don't know the game very well. The fact that they've invested that time, which of course is money because they're having to pay those staff, that's a very interesting thing. Because it shows that they're actually taking it seriously. Even if people don't like it, they're taking it seriously.
Yeah. Yeah, so I assume your take is, and I've done so well and I haven't swore for almost an hour, but it's shit.
Go for it.
Let's just say it's fucking shit.
Yeah. So
yeah, it's shit.
So Painswell probably said something very similar, but my ideal would be that they take the caster's feed. So let's say me and Painswell are casting the finals. What we would do is I would have control of the camera. Painswell would have control of the camera. Those camera feeds would be going into the Leicester mix, right? And then instead of having all of the camera work being this kind of free floating panning shot kind of stuff, you would mix in the live direct feed from the casters with some of those panning shots.
Yeah.
Because the thing that you lose when you just have panning shots and just have close-ups is it's very difficult for the viewers to keep track of what's going on where.
Yeah.
Whereas when the caster is pointing, because when you just learn very quickly when you cast tournaments to point the camera at the thing that you're talking about, but also have stuff in the background which might happen.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at the A cap, for example, don't have the camera pointed at the A cap and then off the map. Have the camera pointed at the A cap and then across to B and C, so that you can see stuff going on in the background. And then if you see something going on in the background, the camera is already flying over there as you are starting to talk about it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that you lose. You lose that context. You lose that ability for the audience to follow what you're talking about. And if they cut the live caster camera in with it when there's slower moments, or there's like someone's about to receive a volley of AP and they can see it in the air. That's when they can cut to the artistic cameras. And
Yeah.
the other feature which I really like is the replays.
Oh, they were fantastic.
Yeah, like they've got
Best
picture in
feature.
picture, which is amazing. So the picture in picture they would use generally for torpedoes. So if they could see that there was a bunch of torpedoes going towards a parked cruiser, for example, they would show that in the PMP, which is amazing because you don't really need the detail for torpedoes. You just need to see whether they hit or not. So that was great. The replays are amazing. It's just the other stuff. They just need to get rid of a lot of the artistic camera, replace it with direct camera, and then it would be flipping amazing.
Yeah.
But I don't know, but they just don't seem to grasp that last point.
Yeah. It was so hard because, like, we would see something in the background and it's like, go over there.
Mm-hmm.
So the Moskva's just eating torpedoes, but we're forced to look at the daring that's just capping.
And what was, I mean, Painesville probably talked about this, but what was frustrating initially is that they were trying to get us to cast purely off of their feed. When we first tried it, they were like, okay, we just want you to commentate on the feed. And we're like, sorry, what? Yeah, we just want you to watch the feed and then just commentate on the feed. And so what it turned into, on a live EU broadcast, by the way, I hated being put in this position. This is what led to me screaming at a room full of Russians. They were like, yeah, just look at the feed. And so what you ended up with was a commentary that went something like this. And this is a daring backing into the, and this is a, which island is this? Oh, this is Stalingrad. I think that's next to the B cap. That might actually, no, is that a Moskva? Because the UI is not on.
Yeah.
Right? Because they've turned the UI off. That looks like a Moskva. Yeah, that's definitely a Moskva. And he's just receiving some, oh, and okay, this is a Shima that's just going through some torpedo. And okay, and this is, and it's just like this constant cuts every 2 seconds to these panning shots that don't have any UI on. And it was just impossible literally impossible to commentate on the match, other than just literally describing what's on the screen.
Yeah.
So literally during the middle of that first practice test, where they hadn't really told us beforehand what they wanted, I completely threw my teddies out. I was just like, not doing that for the second game. I'm going to commentate. We're going to be in the training room. I'm going to commentate how I normally commentate. And if you guys want to keep up, that is up to you. Good luck.
Yep.
And to be fair to them, they were like, okay, let's try it. And so it instantly improved it, because at least then the viewer has the consistent audio commentary. Even if they can't quite match it up with what they're seeing on the screen, they can listen. And as the caster, if you're aware of the fact that what's on the screen might not quite match up with what you're saying, you can just add a little bit more detail, cast a bit more like a radio football commentator.
Yeah.
Where you're just filling in a little bit of the detail. It's like the audio descriptive version.
Yeah.
And I think that instantly improved things. And to be fair to them, every time we've done it, they've got better. But it is horrendously complicated, the setup for it.
I don't envy the people that got to set it up. I'm an athlete by background. I'm not a computer guy. I press the button, I interact with the GUI, and I turn it off. That's the extent of my knowledge.
So I, given the choice between that style of casting, which we saw on the King of the C13 like official final casts, and then a more kind of traditional casting style where you've just got one caster with a camera, maybe you've got two people speaking, but you've just got the one person with a camera, like 99% of the audience are going to choose that.
Yeah.
If they have an option. Which I think speaks volumes for what wargaming should do.
Yeah.
Because if you're trying to like lever this thing, it doesn't matter. Like, it's the sunk cost fallacy. It doesn't matter how much time you've spent on it. If people don't like it, they don't like it.
Yeah.
And you just need to drop it. But I think they could make it work. I genuinely think if they just mix in some live camera, the whole thing would be amazing. It would look incredible. It would be easy to follow. It's an easy fix.
Yep.
I just really hope they listen to us, and I hope they do it, because if they do, it'll be incredible.
Yeah. Yo, someone send this to Mr. Conway. Do it.
Oh, I wouldn't worry about that, because they've been hearing it from me, but also mainly from Painzor for the last 2 months at least.
Well, do you know what? If Painzor can't get
Regularly.
through to them, I'm convinced no one on the planet can.
Well, and this is the beautiful thing of being in the position that we're in, is that we get on really well with the community team. We don't have really any contact with well, not directly with Lester. We have Shonai, who we can talk to in the CC program, but he's not directly involved in those things. But we can, we can talk to Conway whenever we like, and know that he will listen to us.
Yeah.
So it's very much a two-way conversation, and so we feel very strongly about this, and hopefully we'll be involved in the future in those casts again. And so we would like, when King of the Sea 14 comes around, if we're involved, we would very much like to see it progress in the direction that we want it to progress in, obviously. And we know, we would argue, we know better than wargaming what the audience would prefer.
Yeah.
Because we are the audience.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. We're the gamers. So yeah, hopefully they see sense.
I hope so.
Because I think they have an opportunity to make it really, really good.
Well, I know that you're on a pretty tight time budget, so I won't keep you for much longer. But guys, please go check out Statsbloke on Twitch. Would you like to plug your content at all?
Sure. So my main platform is Twitch, so twitch.tv/Statsbloke. I'm everywhere /Statsbloke. I also have a YouTube channel that I used to do a lot of content on, but when I switched over to being a professional streamer, that had to go because it's just too time intensive, and it doesn't make any money. So I've stopped making some of my YouTube stuff, but I still put stuff on there occasionally. So you can go and just subscribe to that just in case I do produce something. And then also we have a podcast. So me, Painzor, and Killabin also have a podcast that we do about once a month or so. It's called Statsbloke. You can find that on all good podcasting platforms, including Google Podcasts and iTunes and so on. I've been told you can even get it on Alexa.
Really?
Yeah, apparently. Cool. I'm not going to say the phrase just in case it sets off everyone's Alexas. But if you say, I'm going to call her Gertrude. If you say, Gertrude, play Statsbloke, you have to say tonk, not thonk. If you say, Gertrude, play Statsbloke, apparently she does it.
Alexa, play.
Do you have one?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Dude, that's money.
We're safe. We're safe then. We're safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't either.
Yeah.
I have a GOOGLE that goes off during my streams all the time.
GLE Google?
Yes. Because when I'm streaming, normally my phone is on the desk next to me.
Yeah.
On silent, but it's on the desk next to me. And so I'll say something about that particular company.
Which one?
And then stop it. So I'll say something about that, and then my phone's answering my question. I'm like, shut up. What are you doing? And of course, because it's a voice, it comes over the microphone and the audience can hear it. It's quite funny. And occasionally I'll actually use it on stream. If a question comes up, do you aardvarks hibernate? I can just ask my phone, and because it's right next to me and it gives me the answer. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we have podcasts about once a month. So go and check that out as well.
Link will be down below.
One thing, given what we've just been talking about, actually, one of the episodes that people might want to go back and listen to is we actually did an interview just after wargaming became more involved in EU. We did an interview with Toby and Eclair, who were two of the 4 EU orgs who were essentially paid to walk away. So there's a couple of hours of interview there with them where they explain the whole situation and how it came to be and what happened. So if anyone's interested in what was involved in and wargaming taking over EU King of the Sea, it's all there in that interview.
Yeah. But yeah, guys, I stream on Twitch about 3 to 4 times a week. Yeah, dude, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on.
It's a bit fun.
All right.
Cool.
Till next time, guys. Toodles.